Well, it's February, and I've been meaning to do this video a while ago, but with all that was going on, I just never had the chance to do it. And I want to talk about Valentine's Day and how much February sucks and just feeling lonely, obviously. And um, I know there are a lot of other guys out there that feel lonely too, and it's not something I really like to talk about too much, but and some people I know, they're happy being single. Some guys I know been single their most of their whole life, and they're happy being single. I can't be happy being single. It makes me. Some guys can do it. I can't do it. I can't be single. And especially on Long Island, it feels like, I guess maybe I made a video a while back called "Lonely on Long Island." I don't know. I don't remember, but um, on Long Island, it seems that people here are very superficial, and it's very hard to find other people, particularly females, that are that can understand somebody like me. Put it some way, because most of the females I've encountered, unfortunately, happen to be very materialistic. Um, they're definitely into the money, they're into the status, and they certainly look down on people like me that are disabled. And it just feels more and more. I guess that's almost like the most painful part of the plan to me. It's bad enough. Yeah, I'm stuck in this apartment. I can't get fresh air. My faces a brick wall. I got to deal with furnace exhaust. I had to put the air conditioner on tonight because it was hot in here. I couldn't open the windows. Yeah, I have all the radiators off, but it's still hot in here. Um, and all that other stuff. And living in, I mean, Mineola is not a terrible town, but my neighborhood in Mineola is not very good at all. Um, so I have all that. I mean, it's not horrible, but it's certainly kind of depressing here. All right, as the empty streets, no life at night, and all that other stuff. Um, and but I think, and then I deal with the other things going on as part of the plan. Like seeing the transportations, they're making it harder to get around on public transportation. They're I'm also seeing like one thing I've never gotten before, but New York State managed to do something with my medical insurance, and I have a disability, and I'm not supposed to pay anything when I see a doctor or dentist, and yet I'm getting these bills, and I can't afford them, and they're supposed to cover that. I don't know what's going on, but it's just maybe another way they're forcing us out. Um, I've spoken about all those things, but I think what hurts the most is being unable to find a significant other that I can relate to, that she can relate to me. Um, Most girls, they talk a certain way, they act a certain way, and I'm I'm not like that. Um, and I know I've come on here and I've used the word snob. I throw the word snob around a lot, and I'm sorry that I do. Um, but that word to me represents people that are doing well, that are in their own world, that kind of, because they're doing well, they look down on people that aren't doing well, um, and people that have disabilities. And uh, that's that's why I use that word. And I don't like using that word, but sometimes it's a word I use because I feel just lonely, and yeah, I go to these towns with a lot of the those kind of people, the kind of people I call snobs. Why do I go to those towns and hang out? Because it's happier there. It's a way of kind of feeling a little less lonely, even though it'll be me always looking on the outside in to their world, while they enjoy themselves. Being around that just makes me feel somewhat better, even though I'm still lonely. At least I'm around happy people. I'm around people that are having a good time, and at least looking at, seeing women around, I guess. So yeah, I'm gonna go there. I'm gonna, even though I know I don't fit in and it's totally out of my league. We could go to these towns like Rockville Center because it's a way of just getting away from the loneliness. The loneliness that's here in Mineola, the loneliness that's just hangs over my head all the time. Um, it's a way of getting away from it, you know. And even the Pine Barrens, as much as I love them, they're a very lonely place. And you know, so I go there to get away from it. Um, I'm sorry, but I do. I go there to get away from the loneliness because it's so lonely here. Um, it really is. If you're different, whether you have a mental disability, you have other, you're just different. You're different. You're not white. You're different. Here on Long Island, you're treated like a second class citizen. All right. You know, it's bad enough with the housing and all the other stuff going on, but you're just treated socially like a second class citizen. And it's no wonder why Trump is so popular here on Long Island, even though the rest of the country is basically fed up with him. You know, it's funny. I go to the New Jersey subreddit, and they're always talking about protests about Trump. But yet on Long Island, I never see that. I never see those posts. There never talks about the protests against what's happening in this country, against the hate. You don't see any of that on the Long Island subreddit because it's representative of the way people are here. They're very materialistic. And they certainly don't seem to share the love of the Pine Barrens that I do. I've tried to meet people and through hiking circles and stuff, but they hike for exercise. They're not really in it to soak in the beauty of the Pine Barrens. Most of them don't even mention the Pine Barrens. Most of the hiking groups that mention the Pine Barrens are in, well, guess where? New Jersey. So, yeah, that's a place I really, really don't want to wind up having to go live. But it just feels like I'm going to wind up there eventually. Because I really feel like socially I'm being forced out of here. I just, what can I say? I'm going to get upset during this video, so you're going to have to just bear with me. And I don't normally share this with you, but this is a very difficult subject for me to talk about. And it's really hard to talk about, but I have to. Because no one else is speaking up about what we go through. There aren't anyone else there's no one else on YouTube that speaks up about the Pine Barrens like I do. And it doesn't seem like there's anyone else on YouTube from Long Island that speaks up about how Long Island has become such a hateful, mean, nasty place to live. And I have so many memories here. So many good memories of growing up here. And how things have changed so much. It's more racist and hateful than it's ever been. Because a certain person made that okay, of course. It's not okay, but a certain person brought it out in the open, and you know, that certain person we're talking about, that certain person who spent 2 hours talking last night about it, all right, about how great he thinks the country's doing. Yeah, right. It's not doing great at all, and I have to bring it up, and I know a number of you disagree with me and support him, but I'm not a liberal, all right? A lot of liberals are phonies. New York City in particular, a lot of people fell for the Ma'am Danny scam, the phony man, all right, who he is looking out for only the wealthy too. All right, they all are in New York. It doesn't matter whether they're on the left or the right. It seems like they're all looking out for Wall Street and the finance sector, and they won't do anything about it because they want us out. That's the thing. They want us out, and it hurts. It hurts. And it sucks not having anyone to hug. And on Valentine's Day, you're reminded of that. You see the couples hanging out, embracing each other, and I got no one. I've had no one for many, many, many years. And yeah, I'm not going to just blame it on everybody. I'm very shy, but I've made so many videos on YouTube, and you think maybe there'd be some female out there interested in me. No, no, it's just, you know, and yeah, I do. People say look at women from other cultures, and yeah, I do that, but there is a culture barrier to that as well. But I think what's going on with women is basically what goes on with everybody here on Long Island. They all have their cliques and their circles, and if you're not in that clique or circle, then you are going to be lonely. You're going to be shut out. Most of these people have been around in their towns for many years, and they know everybody knows everybody. A lot of these towns are like that, especially the desirable towns on especially those South Shore enclaves. And here I am just shut out, not just from living there, but shut out from it all. Told to pretty much shut up and to stay in the middle of the island, deal with your shitty life, and if you don't like it, shut up and go live in New Jersey. Life in New Jersey would be much, much harder for me. The thing is, I like the people there, but the transportation is worse. It's much harder to get around. And while I like the people there, a place like Tom's River is extremely lonely, right? It feels very remote there. And I know the people who live in Tom's River probably saying, remote, it's overdeveloped. Well, to me, it feels remote, right? And then you get to deal with JCP&L, having the power go out all the time. Oh, we'll live in North Jersey. Well, North Jersey's expensive, just as expensive as Long Island. And then you're so far from the Pine Barrens. So, I'm going to make this like a 20-minute video. I don't want to make it too long. But, I just see the comments people make on the Long Island subreddit. You know what's going on, especially the enclaves. It's so obvious what's going on. And meanwhile, the middle of the island is definitely getting neglected. The comments about Williston Park's going downhill. Of course, it's all part of the plan. This is part of the plan that is spoken about. Only the areas that have certain demographics, only the white finance professionals, are going to have the businesses that be desirable, and the other communities where it's more mixed are going to be treated worse. All right. This is just hard to talk about loneliness. It is. But I wanted to talk about it because it's February, the month of Valentine's Day, and I know Valentine's Day happened 11 days ago or so, but it's difficult. And then in March, I turned 50, and I'm still alone. So it sucks. And yeah, I'm not, obviously, I don't go to bars. I like walking around those towns, but I don't go to bars because it's not my scene. I know the women there are going to be superficial. That's not what I'm looking for. All right? Kind of women I'm looking for generally run into more in my area, almost, not so much on the South Shore. And maybe in Jersey, or maybe in Queens, in the city. Queens especially. Yeah, most of the women I look at, they're not white, all right? Because I feel that they have a sweetness in them that I just don't find with many white women. You know, what can I say? I'm not gonna. People will make fun of me if I talk about the type of women I'm attracted to, so I'm not going to talk about it. All right. So everybody has their type, and I understand that. I really do. but it's more than just what somebody looks like on the outside. It's how they are on the inside. That's actually the most important thing. And I find that a lot of the women here are just very superficial. They're into the money more than anything. They like the money. They love the money. I can't give them money. You know, I want to share my love and knowledge of the Pine Barrens and the environment with them. But nobody seems to really share that love of the woods and the pines on Long Island anyway. So, yeah, it's hard when you feel shut out. And I feel like I'm being shut out of Long Island now. It wasn't like this growing up. People have gotten so much snobbier and so much more arrogant. That's because that Wall Street culture that's moved out of the city. It's only going to get worse. They keep winning. Win above 50,000. Recently it went back down, but it's going to go back above 50,000 pretty soon, I'm sure. So they're in their own world, living it up. But I go there because it's better than being alone here in the Barrens in the middle of the island. It temporarily makes me feel a little less lonely before I have to come back here, deal with the things that I got to see in this area. Yeah, I saw somebody took a human poop at the Mineola train station today. I didn't take a picture of it. I just walked right by. I see homeless here all the time. They were hanging out during the blizzard in this train station. Most of the time, I don't even take pictures of it. I just keep walking. All right. But this is what it is here. Look, there are worse places than Mineola, and it's not so much Mineola, it's this apartment. But it is depressing to live here if you are alone and dealing with loneliness. But the privileged ones will never let me into their world. I will be shut out. Especially because I speak about discrimination here, and they hate that. They're the ones who always thumb down my videos. So, and you have a lot of racism on Long Island too, man. And it's gotten so much worse. I'm going to make another video about a business that made a very racist thing on social media. We're going to talk about that too here on Long Island, because this is what happens here. But as I said before, it just feels like the universe is trying to tell me to shut up, go live in Toms River, New Jersey. I don't want to live there, man. But it just feels like I'm going to wind up living there, whether I like it or not. And I don't know what it is. It's just some kind of sixth sense I have. I don't want to wind up there, but I think it's going to happen eventually. And I'm just trying to stop the inevitable, because I don't want to go there, man. But anyway, yep, we're at the 20-minute mark, so I'm going to end this video. Very hard for me to talk about this kind of stuff. If you're dealing with loneliness, please comment. We've got to talk about what's going on Long Island, because it's not right. It's hard for me to talk about this. It's very painful to talk about it. You know, I know some guys, like I said, I'll leave it at that. Some of my friends, they're happy, they're single. Some guys I know, they're older than me and they're happy that they're single. But I can't do it. You know, since my mom left my life when I was in my 20s, I've been pretty much alone. She left my life way too early. She was only 50 and she died of breast cancer. Been through that already. So, it's hard. It's hard to talk about this stuff. But anyway, I think I've said all that I can say. You know, eventually something has got to change. I don't want to die before I have somebody in my life. And I'm turning 50, so definitely is upsetting. And I don't want to hear any comments about, oh, you should do that, you should do this. I have a disability. I'm doing what I can, what I can tolerate, what I can stand, what I can survive at this point. All right. There are people out there with disabilities who cannot work. Some people will never understand that because they're just too narrow-minded, closed-minded, just arrogant. And they're on both sides of the political aisle. So, anyway, if you're not lonely, be glad you're not lonely. And if you're happy being single, good for you. But humans are meant to be a social species. We're not meant to be alone. All right? So, I know a lot of it has to do with me, and I need to try to socialize more. But it's hard when you're living in a place where it feels like nobody understands you. Anyway, thank you for watching. Take care.